Hello people and welcome back to another review. So recently it was announced that Black Panther is up for an Oscar for Best Film. Shocking because not many comic book films have been up for this, and the ones that have been up usually don't get it. So it was shocking to see it up there, but at the same time it really wasn't, considering the controversy around the film and what a lot of people were saying about it and what a lot of people thought about it. If you remember, did I just say thought twice? I don't know. But if you remember back, I made a video talking about the controversies of Black Panther while still in theaters. So many different viewpoints about the film. Talks about Wakanda as like an alt-right haven. How Black Panther was the first black superhero. And a lot of this is just bullshit from the left and the right. And it's nothing that I want to relive. But I did watch the film twice, just so I could review it before it gets the Oscar. If it does, I don't know. But that's what we're going to talk about today, is see if it's worth an Oscar. So Black Panther is about a prince of Wakanda. Wakanda is this city in Africa that has more technology than basically the rest of the world. And they kind of keep their place hidden, so the rest of the world can't find them. Well, in the beginning, it turns out that he is the new king. T'Challa is the prince, and he's the new king after he defeats someone in like this ritual fight, so he becomes king. Well, it turns out that his cousin comes back, who was left in Oakland by his father after his father had killed his uncle, and wants the crown. And of course, he has to fight for it, and your normal, average superhero movie ensues. Yeah, I left out a lot of detail because there's a decent amount. Andy Serkis actually plays a villain that you don't really see, and he's not really the actual full-on villain for this film. He's kind of like a side villain, even though, hell, he could actually be a decent fucking villain. Which, don't worry, we're going to talk about the villain, Killmonger, here in a second. But what did I like about the film? One, of course, I thought it was decently acted, like a lot of other Marvel movies. Nothing too, like, extravagant, but for his personality and for how everyone acts in the film, they do a damn good job. Special effects were okay in a lot of the parts, but then again, in most of these new Marvel films, special effects are good. Especially in, like, Infinity Wars and Ragnarok. So, the bad parts. Okay, this film, I'm not going to say it's bad, because I don't think it's bad. The problem is that there's better Marvel films. And by that I mean, there's a few. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a better film. Thor Ragnarok is a better film. The Avengers Infinity Wars is a much better film. And I wish Infinity Wars would have been put up for Best Picture if they were going to put up a comic book film. Unfortunately, we all know why Black Panther was put up for this, and it was because they wanted more black representation at the Oscars, and not to mention the controversy that surrounds it. So it's understandable why it's on there. My problem is I don't think it's worth being on there, because it's just not that great of a comic book movie. Is it bad? No. Is it okay? Yes, but it's not great. It's not even that good. There's a lot of slow parts, a lot of the characters are unmemorable, and it doesn't really have the same enjoyable humor that a lot of the other Marvel films have. Whether it be anything with Tony Stark, whether it be Thor Ragnarok with Thor cracking jokes, or whether it be Guardians of the Galaxy 1 with Quill, the main character, making jokes. The humor seems to be not completely lost in this film, but it's definitely not as funny or as entertaining as their other films. Even Infinity Wars, which does not only humor, but touching moments much better. Which, we have to talk about the villain in this film. Killmonger, he's not that great. I understand a lot of people like him because he's sympathetic. You could almost understand what he's going for. And I do, to a point. The problem is he's just not that interesting. We spend half the first half of the film with Andy Serkis, and he's crazy. He's like Voss from Far Cry 3, and he does a good job at being the crazy villain dude. Whereas Killmonger, he has a reason to be the way he is, and he done what he did because he had to do it. I understand. The problem is and I know I'm probably going to get shit for this, but he's not as good as Thanos. I know, man. Or Hela. Hela's actually more interesting. Her personality from Thor Ragnarok. She's just a more interesting villain. Killmonger is a good villain, but he's not a better villain. He's not the Joker in The Dark Knight. He's not Hela in Ragnarok, and he's not Thanos in Infinity Wars. Because Thanos is one of the best villains I've ever seen in film. Thanos is fantastic. Like, I can almost understand every point he says. The acting in Thanos is great. Don't get me wrong, the actor that plays Killmonger does a great job. I mean, he plays Creed, and Creed's a fantastic film. So is Creed 2. But he's just not completely there for me. He's not as memorable as Thanos. I'll remember Thanos as a great villain, but I won't even remember Killmonger's name. I actually forgot what his name was until I rewatched it. Thanos, I'm going to remember, not because, they mention him in plenty of other Marvel movies, even if you don't. I went straight into Infinity Wars without seeing many of the other Marvel films that you'd have to watch. And let me tell you, I still remember Thanos, and I'm going to remember him as one of the best villains I've ever seen. So is Black Panther worth an Oscar? No, and it doesn't really even deserve to be on the list, especially if the Oscars is doing the best for the best. I've watched the Oscars many times, many years. Let me tell you, The Shape of Water deserved it. It was the best movie that year. 12 Years a Slave was the best movie that year. There's plenty of times that, they robbed the best movie. I understand that. But this year, if Black Panther gets it, then, the Oscars are just full of shit to begin with, but it's even worse. It's going to be even worse this time. I can't respect this film being in the Oscars. I can't. Because it's not great. It's okay. It's okay. It's not the best Marvel has done. It doesn't even come close to being as good as Infinity Wars or Thor Ragnarok. So, but it's okay. Check it out if you want to, spice up your list, I guess. See if, Oscar list. Because it's apparently an Oscar-worthy movie. Or just, if you want to watch whatever fourth phase they're on for the Marvel films now. I'm not sure. But yeah, check it out if you want to.